We're going to give the internet a chance to get from Restream to all the places, and it looks like we're there. Welcome, everyone, back to Season 6, Episode 2 of the Level Up Your Wealth podcast, where we talk about the gaming industry from a business perspective. One of your hosts, Marcus Howard. Mario couldn't join us this week. We're getting closer to the end of the year, so schedules are getting a little bit hectic around the country, around the world. But a thrill to welcome Leo to the show. Leo, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Marcus. What's up? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. We've been connected, and I've been following your post on LinkedIn for a long time. I know you were just over in LA for the Game Awards. You're traveling all over the place, making an impact. I want to talk about all of that, but again, as a tradition on our podcast, we like to play a quick video game with our guests.
Great.
So you and I are going to jump into a match of Rise of Elements. So I'm going to share my screen.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Let's see, share and tab audio so everyone can hear it. So what you want to do is click on tournament here.
Okay, should I click play first over on the side?
Play,
oh yeah,
yep,
here we go.
Play
and then tournament. Yep.
Tournament, and then enter in your name in all lowercase.
Okay.
And then it should connect the two of us together.
Match Leo. Here we go. Game time.
Very similar to like a League of Legends, where you can pick your own character, and each character has an elemental affinity.
Yep.
And so that gives you a very specific set of special abilities.
The sun's power stands behind me.
This is early access, so we're still developing. We don't have all the characters yet.
I'm gonna be the tree dude.
This is time mode, so you only have 10 seconds to make your match as quick as you can. Let's see.
Okay, so I have to beat you in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, you make it. So I go first. I'm gonna make some matches. You can see that hourglass kind of working its way to 0, and once the turn's over, then it's your turn.
Oh, score. I see how this works.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
so
cool.
Like, while you're making your matches, I'm looking on the zone here to see where else there might be matches that you may have missed that was supposed to be. And then in the bottom right corner, the bottom left for you, you have special abilities that get filled up every time you combine the colored gems.
Yep.
And then you get to use special abilities.
Oh, nice.
There was one right there. That was the one you got.
Ha! Use my special ability. I got you.
Yeah. And then the swords don't have an elemental affinity. They just deal direct damage.
Oh. I was like ignoring the swords. I wasn't even doing it. I don't know why.
You're doing well for yourself. You've got like twice as much health as I do right now.
Hey, that's the name of the game. We gotta represent.
All right,
this is fun. This is good. Okay. All right.
I gotta catch up. Here we go. I see some matches.
Have you been holding back? Is that what's going on?
No, I'm just not good at this at all.
You're doing so well. I see how that works.
I played against the founding team, Carrie and Terry, against us. They played like they had like a version of it that's not timed. You can just do 5 moves and it's the next person's turn. And I did okay with that. Once the timer is on, my brain freezes up.
Yeah, well, you kind of gotta like pre-plan it a little bit, and it's not exactly clear. You're like, oh no, and then I could have done this, I could have done that, and then you're like, wait, oh shoot, I should be using power.
We got a nice combo there. Yeah, I got the ability. Here we go, a little bit of damage, finally. Some kind of way you just healed yourself.
Whoa, what's happening now?
That was one of your abilities, it's like a swamp.
Nice.
Let's see. And then I think all of your special gems, once you fill the blue ones up,
yeah,
use R. Well, luckily correctly, your turn has to do that. You probably would have won that.
Yeah, you're like, hey, here's the super special magic, extra special cool weapon.
I'm losing big time. The other thing it does is, like, if your turn runs over, like right at the end, and you make a match, then it actually gives value for your opponent.
I wish do I get to taunt you or something? Be like, hey,
Hit me harder. Prepare yourself.
There you go. I heard my dudes.
1, 2, and 3.
How unfortunate. Is it hot in here?
Yes,
No,
it's hot in here.
it's just me.
Is that Nelly? That would be pretty fun.
I'm losing big time.
Nah, I'm not having a good turn this round.
All right, this is going to be the greatest underdog story ever.
Ooh, I almost got you.
Your death, I'll find peace.
I was matching, and I took damage?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I don't know
here
how.
you go, everybody. Leo won.
Excellent. That was fun. That was really, really good.
Yeah,
GG's.
that was fun.
Good game. Good game.
Yeah. So thanks for that.
You bet.
You have been in the industry over 20 years now. I think some folks would consider you a veteran, right? Maybe one of the OGs.
Almost 24. Almost 24
Almost
years.
24.
Almost.
I reviewed some of your work history. You like got into the gaming industry early. A lot of folks don't have that luck. At least like today, it took me 10 years to work full time and had to go into consulting in order to do that, like for myself.
Yeah.
But you were able to kind of jump right into the gaming industry. You can talk about that.
You know, I'll give you like a little bit of my origin story with jumping in early. So I have to start off by saying, like, I love games. Games is what I do. It's what I eat, live, breathe, sleep, all those things. Sometimes I joke around. I'm like, I've been 12 years old for quite some time now. Comic books, movies, video games. That's what I do. I started playing on the 2600, the Commodore 64, programming games, playing on the Apple IIe. I even played games on the Mac 512. So like all games all the time. And then go through college, and I played a lot of Resident Evil in my residence hall. I suppose, pun intended. That was pretty great. I had a TV card inside my computer, but always was playing games, having a really good time. I graduated from undergrad. I became a management consultant. I actually worked for a couple of years on the IT side of things as a business analyst, and I went to business school, and I was about to try to go back into consulting, and I had all these final round interviews, and they were like, dude, well, they didn't say dude. That was my interpretation, right? I would get to the final round interview and they'd say, oh my gosh, you're so happy. Why do you want this job? And I'm like, because we can help people and we can change the world and it's going to be amazing. And I didn't get a single one of those jobs. Instead, I went back to USC and they had me take this test. And the test said, Leo, you should try marketing. And the first company that was looking for marketing interns was Disney Consumer Products. And I get to like this interview room at the USC Marshall School of Business, and there's a guy in there named Jamie Berger, and Jamie, you know, is a SVP at Scopely today. And I walk into the room and he goes, hi, I'm Jamie. And I was like, hi, Jamie, I'm Leo. And he says, you know, are you interested in games? Because this is actually about a job, an internship at Disney Interactive. And I was like, hold on. Like, what are you talking about? Like, first of all, you can have a job in games. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing that you could do. And this was in January of 2001 when I did the interview for the summer internship. I didn't even know you could have a job in games. And so, yeah, I got a job and as an MBA summer intern doing marketing. I think the first game I ever worked on was we were working on some Buzz Lightyear stuff, but I worked on a game called Peter Pan Return to Neverland on the Game Boy Advance. Worked on a lot of different games, but once I started, I never stopped. I never left. It was a really, really special time. And, you know, we did a bunch of things. I could tell you about all the various games we launched, but I worked on Pixar titles and I worked on, you know, Tron 2.0. I worked on Disney Princess games. I worked on all sorts of different fun stuff, probably shipped about 30 games. But yeah, dude, I got lucky. Like one of those things when life, you know, smiles at you in a particular way and you just say yes and give it a shot. Like that was my start in as a little intern, and I just never left. And then now fast forward 24 years later, still game on.
So you opportunity knocked and you just happened to be ready, right? It was your passion and your skill met the opportunity.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like you just kind of lean in and say yes, and then learn as much as you possibly can. And I got lucky to be surrounded by some amazing leaders and people they all still call them friends. There's a person, a games industry veteran who's now working on different stuff, a woman named Nicole Bradford. I don't know if you know Nicole. She and I shared a cube next to each other. It's where I first met Jason Hall. I've worked with a guy named Don Polite. I worked with all sorts of people. Tammy DeMarco. Big shout out to everybody that I worked with. I probably shouldn't name names because there's so many wonderful folks that I got to work with, and surprisingly some that I even work with today, like here at Xbox. Like there was a senior producer named Peter Wise, who now I think he runs all like 2P publishing here at Xbox Game Studios. We worked together when I was just lowly summer intern kid. Like, who is this person? You know, so it's a small industry, but when you connect with people who are passionate about what they do, and your head and your ears and your eyes are open to learning, like great things can happen.
That's awesome philosophy. Can you talk a little bit more about that for maybe folks who are maybe college students or maybe working outside the gaming industry? And as I'm sure you know, there's basically everything that happens outside the gaming industry.
Yeah, totally.
There's an infinite number of opportunities. Can you talk about your philosophy of learning as you go, or reflect on not having the skill set, but taking that initiative to learn, because everybody ends up learning on the job in some capacity?
Yeah, you know, I think like there was I think it's really important to always be learning. First of all, part of that for me as I've been growing throughout my career is I've had the unique opportunity to have an executive coach several times, and several different coaches, and they've all been really helpful in different ways, you know, and they help you open up to your learning. But something that I carry around with me, I have written here on one of my monitors here on my setup, is from an executive coach that I just had recently. And she said, don't try to become a better leader by trying to be more like somebody else. Instead, be yourself with more skill. And so when you think about being yourself with more skill, it kind of puts you into this learning mindset where you're always going to come up with situations where maybe you're not ready, maybe you're think that you don't have the skills or the capability or the qualifications to move things forward, but you just kind of got to give it a shot. And if you don't have it, figure it out. Go ask somebody. Like, having an open mind, maybe that's the critical thing. Like I'm not being as articulate as I'd like to be, but like if you have an open mind and you do you, magic will happen, right? Because who you are and what you do and how you approach the world and how you solve problems, Marcus, is different than how I do it. Like, and I have a ton to learn from you, and hopefully I can teach you some things too about what my approach is. But like every individual, I just have this belief that every individual out there has something special to bring to the table, and you've got to give yourself credit. I think a lot of times people spend time beating themselves up and closing doors and shutting down opportunities for no good reason other than maybe they're scared, or maybe they're nervous, or maybe, you know, I don't know what it is, but I would tell everybody out there, like, never take yourself out of the room. Give yourself a chance. Give yourself a shot. And so like, maybe that's what it is. Keep an open mind and give yourself credit, because you're a lot more awesome than you might think you are.
Gems, lots of gems and wisdom that you're sharing. I appreciate that, because
you bet, man.
Again, you have the receipts, right? That to show that approach has worked for you over the course of your career. I've only worked in the gaming industry 10 years, and again, like really full-time 3.
Yeah.
And so it's so important to have that philosophy that you have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable in order to chase those opportunities, or the growth in opportunity, even if it may not be what you ideally want, you know, immediately. It can grow into something that you need.
That's exactly right. And when you keep an open mind, you can find those things, and that's awesome. Like, you're just getting started. Like you said, you just got in, you're just making things happen, but you're already having a significant impact on the industry. You're bringing who you are by doing this podcast and doing all the other things that you do. And like, that's where the magic starts to happen. I would say, sure, to your point, I've got the receipts. I've been pretty fortunate, and I've shipped a lot of titles. I've worked with some amazing game creators. I've had unique opportunities to rise in my career and have different jobs and all that other kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just because I love games, and it's because I lean forward into stuff that I'm passionate about. And maybe this is a really something important to talk about as well. But like, I don't think I'm anything special. I don't think that there's, I just like games, and like, that's my thing. That's it. Like, other than that, like, maybe there's some magic formula, but there are many, 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 many more people who are faster and smarter and more thoughtful and more inspirational and all of those things. And so I look up to all of them and try to learn a little bit more every day about how to improve my game. Be yourself with more skill, and you can pick up skills everywhere. That's what's the fun part about being a gamer, right?
Yeah, and I think that skill set is becoming more and more valuable in the non-traditional workplace. Not only
100%.
constantly learning, but even, I think, more specifically, everything that goes into being successful at games, right? I've been playing, I don't know if you've played it yet, but Marvel Rivals, like
I played
a dangerous amount of time.
Nice.
And I'm not getting much better, but what I am doing is being very intentional about the learning opportunity when I lose. So like, if I play with I usually main as Black Panther, and so he's an assassin character, so he's not Wakanda forever. He's not going to win a one-on-one unless you have the element of surprise, right? So there's a group, or you're at a distance. If you run headfirst into a fight, you're going to lose. So each time I lose, I get upset, but I immediately think, like, what was I supposed to learn in that moment to either do differently or just not do it all?
Totally. Yeah. That's how we get better. That's how we got to reflect. We try again. What is it, like our good buddy Yoda or something? Try again until you succeed.
Yeah.
Do or do not. There is no try. There's all sorts of fun things that we can say. I'm a big Star Wars fan, but like, Marvel Rivals that's a super fun game. We play a lot of it in my house for sure. I tend to always be like W key. So like, I play every game almost like it's a first person shooter, just go. So I have to choose characters that maybe are a little more tanky. Stealth is complicated. Sounds like that playing Black Panther is like, might be too complicated for me.
It is. I think he's it's a 5-star system for difficulty. He's a rated 4 out of 5. And that's why I rarely see him on the map, because he's a difficult player to play.
There you go.
You play like a Punisher or something?
No, I should. I played Captain America. That was pretty cool. I played Iron Man. I'm trying to remember the name. I played one dude that was like, you could shoot shields at people, so it was kind of like a support character. I don't have as much time on it as you do, but like, it's fun. It's fun. I just like trying different things. But the problem is I play them all the same way. And you're like, oh, you're supposed to be a defense support. Why are you running in front of everybody and then run, die, run, die, run, die, run?
Yeah.
But I have fun. As long as you're having a good time.
As long as you're having fun. Exactly. I don't know if you're going to go see the movie tomorrow, the new Sonic 3.
I can't. Tomorrow. That's right. It comes out tomorrow. I've got some friends who work over at Sega, so I must honor them by going to see it and check it out. Like, there's always looking forward to a nice video game movie, comic book movie. You'll always find me there. So yes, I don't know if I'm going to make it
your professional obligation for your peers. That's almost your professional obligation, is to go see that movie.
Exactly. That's the best thing, to talk to my wife and kids. Be like, hey, listen, I got to go to the movies right now. This is a work thing. This is a work thing. We've got to go check out Sonic. That's pretty dope. That's cool. So you're going to go see it?
Maybe. I've got 3 little ones. My youngest is 2, and he won't really sit for like anything. So my oldest, who have been asking about it for 3 or 4 weeks, because one of our neighbor kids down the street has been just talking it up all the time.
It's time to go. Check it out.
Yeah, time to go. So you started in marketing, right?
I did.
On the gaming industry side, but I think, and maybe I'm wrong, I think that you most recently, the last 5 or so years of your career, have been focused more on business development. Is that correct? Or is it more marketing?
Yeah, so I would say yes to business development, but mostly partnerships and general management. So my
Mhm.
first 15 years in games was all big brand marketing, Star Wars, Marvel, Disney Princess. I worked on Matrix games. I mentioned Tron. So like big brands, big games. I worked on a bunch of small games too. Realm of the Mad God. I worked on a bunch of games at Kabam. I worked on like Zynga Poker, Farmville, all sorts of different titles. I literally could talk about them for hours and hours. But then in 2015, I switched and transitioned, and I got a job as the global head of gaming partnerships. I was the head of global partnerships. I think I was global director of partnerships for Facebook. So I effectively ran business development and partnerships for Facebook Gaming, and I did that for 6 years. And we launched a bunch of different businesses. Then I went over and I did business development and partnerships for Google Play Games as well. So leading the games business for Google Play before being a global head of gaming at YouTube, which is more general management, creator management, those types of things, and then coming to Xbox as the vice president of global partnerships. So you could say business development, you could say partnerships. The way I like to think about it is like, how do you help people be successful in the marketplace? That's my job. My job is play cool games, help game developers do awesome things.
Yeah. Yeah. And the title of this episode is Win-Win, right? Creating great partnerships.
Yes.
You mentioned it there. You're like, how can you create success? For folks who may not be as familiar with partnerships, I think a lot of people are more familiar with business development as a broad category.
Yep.
But like when partnerships, can you talk about like the goal and then like how you walk backwards from that to the work that you do?
You bet. So I'm glad you mentioned win-win, right? So the root of all great partnerships is what I like to say. You kind of find two things, two people, two games, a game's platform, a video game itself, and then you introduce them to each other and you figure out ways that you can make magic together. Right. So the job of folks inside of partnerships is there's a lot of scouting for games. There's a lot of building relationships with people. It's a lot of talking to folks about what they're excited about. And you're bringing back to your company, the latest technology, the latest big thing that you saw. You're able to say, I think we should go in direction A or direction B. But you're also, for the partner, making sure that their builds are being submitted on time, making sure that you're answering any questions that they have. If they have a problem with their billing systems, like how do you help debug those things? How do you connect people to the right parts of the process inside of a massive ecosystem in order for them to continue to find success? So it's a little bit of scouting. It's a little bit of personal project management. It's a little bit of support. It's a little bit of just relationship building. It's a lot of different things, and it involves deals, it involves negotiations, but really it's about understanding people, understanding businesses, understanding opportunities, and then being able to guide people in the right direction to find the maximum amount of success, whatever it is that they're trying to do. So you wind up having to know a little bit about everything. And in some things, like you have to know a lot about everything, but whether it's product management pipelines, whether it's how engineering works, whether it's thinking through technology backend stuff, or the math on DLA or DLB, bringing in marketing to the table. Like there's so many different disciplines that you have to have familiarity of, because your job is to connect the dots. Is that helpful? That's kind of what partnerships does. It's
No,
a lot.
That's exactly the answer I was looking for. I think you were describing routing. The visual I had was like a switchboard, right?
Yeah.
And then I know switchboards may or may not exist anymore here in 2024.
Yeah, everybody on the video is like, what do you mean, a switchboard?
What is a switchboard?
I gotta ask AI about that. Like, I've never seen this thing before. I'm like, oh yeah, switchboards. We used them when I was a kid. No, I'm just kidding.
Back in my day.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
but for those of you who are unfamiliar with that term, and I may not even be old enough to properly contextualize it, but as I understand it, it's someone whose job is to connect basically pending phone calls, right?
That's right. That's exactly it. You're a connector. You're connecting one piece of value to another, and you're solving problems. and hopefully having a lot of fun while you're doing it. I have a rule for myself, which is every partner that I talk to, I've got to play their game for at least an hour before I pick up a phone. And that's one, it's a nice rule because it's awesome for me because I get to play a lot of games. But two, it also makes it so you try to understand where they're coming from, because, you know, again, with this whole idea of I'm just trying to help them be successful, like it very much helps to say, oh, this is the kind of game you're trying to make. This is the kind of opportunity you're trying to create for you and your company and the people who are playing your games. So if you ask me for like advice for everybody out there, play, and then play some more. And never lose that spirit and that energy, because people will know in half a second whether or not you actually have played a game.
Yeah. I was just talking to one of my colleagues who also works in partnerships and in marketing, and she says that whenever she's worked with an agency, they've played the game first before they submit a proposal to her.
Absolutely.
And so she knows that they are sincere about the project. Otherwise, you know, it's just someone chasing money. When you talk about kind of relationships and creating those win-win situations,
yeah,
can you attribute some of your success now to kind of a steady kind of momentum building of doing that over the course of your career? Because I've found success in my career for doing that the last 10 years, and in many cases I would just naturally connect folks where I have no kind of financial incentive. Just because when I started on LinkedIn 10 years ago, I would send my connection message. You know, you can send messages. I always said, I improve the quality of my network by investing in the people in it. So let me know how I can create value for you. And it was never any expectation of return. I want to be someone who can create value, and then by doing that, as you described, like create a lot of touch points across a variety of networks. And
100%.
have access to information and resources that can always be helpful.
I love that. I think that, like, you nailed it. That's the spirit of what you just said is exactly the formula for how to be successful. I think not only in a partnerships role, but in every job and every opportunity. And I tend to be a little bit of like a cheesy person. So, you know, give me a little grace on this, I suppose. But like what you're saying is super important. And I think a lot of people miss on this, right? Which is when you make space for other people, when you bring others in, when you help out, when you offer not because you're trying to get something or to like make money or get value for whatever it is that you want, and you're like genuinely open and caring and thoughtful, like you return dividends in spades. So like for me, and I'm sure we're going to get to talking to all this kind of stuff, but that's just what I try to do. And I try to have fun while doing it. Like I do it because it's cool and because something is the right thing to do, right? One of my favorite quotes is from Dr. Martin Luther King, and he says, "The time is always right to do what's right." You know, and part of that is helping others. And I definitely spend a lot of time, you know, volunteering and doing whatnot. But the reality is, it's almost impossible to count, because hopefully if I'm at my best, I'm trying to be my best Marcus, which is, you know, what can I do to be of assistance? You know, what are the things that you need to be successful? And the good news is eventually that stuff kind of comes back to you, right? You never know when you're going to get that call, and somebody is going to say, "Hey, I'm here to help you out."
Yeah.
Right. And I've definitely had that experience, and that's why I'm in the job that I'm in today. It's because I was able to reach out to the network and talk to people whom I've engaged with and helped in a genuine fashion before. So that's how opportunities get uncovered. Sorry, I kind of soapboxed for a second.
No, exactly that. From that partnerships and value creating perspective, do you take a similar philosophy to any kind of mentoring?
Oh yeah.
People I'm sure are always trying to go to you for insights, or
maybe
you choose to just volunteer your time. How has that experience been mentoring?
So it's been, the short version is to say it's been great. I will say it's hard. I try to mentor as many people as I can. I probably do anywhere from 3 to 6 hours a week, maybe more, phone calls with people. There are folks that I've been mentoring for years and years and years. There's people that are formal mentor relationships. There are people that I just like to keep in touch with and connect. So I spend a significant amount of time, but it's hard. It's not an easy thing, but where I was going with this is like, it's a significant amount of time and it's hard and you always want to help more. And I'll tell you right now, there are times when I see here's the next person I got to talk to on my calendar and I'm exhausted and tired and I don't know what to do, but I'm filled with energy the second I talk to them. Because they have great ideas. They have interesting questions. When they ask me questions about stuff, they make me think about things where I'm like, oh, I've never decided to approach a problem that way, or I never thought about that, or that's something that I'm struggling with as well, and we can figure this out together. So there's always like I wish I was a scientist or something. I could come up with all these cool terms about resonance and energy and like cacophony and geometric something or other. I'm not a scientist, so I can't come up with any of that stuff. But I always find greater returns come back to me in terms of feeling good than the other way around. Right. So like that gives me energy. And when I'm at my lowest moment, I'm reminded about the critical value of these relationships, and I actually receive a lot from it. I totally don't even know if I answered your question, but I think I did.
You did. I have a follow-up question in terms of where you invest your time. Have you ever had, I've had this experience, so I'm hoping you have this and can share some insights on it. Have you ever had the experience of investing and putting together a partnership deal and then the deal will fall apart?
Oh yeah.
While you've invested all the energy and for reasons beyond your control.
100%. Many times. Yeah. Every day.
Yeah. So you have to that's just part of the game, right?
That's just part of the game. And like, listen, if it doesn't happen today, it might happen tomorrow. People they might come full circle. I worked with a company once, and I'm not going to name which company it was, although I probably should, because this is really admirable. But my team worked on a project for a good 6 or 9 months, back and forth, where they went out to visit this company. And it was a lot of hard work, and they were trying to build something amazing together. And at the end of the day, it didn't happen, and we're all dejected and we're feeling bad. And we're like, oh my God, it would have been so cool and all this kind of stuff. And then, in the mail, we get a bottle of champagne. And the bottle of champagne is from the company that we were working with. And the card says, we don't always get the opportunity to create amazing things together, but we celebrate every single opportunity and every time we've taken a chance together. So congratulations. And we were like, oh, damn, that's kind of a cool way to think about it. So I always kind of keep that in the back of my head as like, when one door closes, another one opens, and you find success over time by trying and trying again and like, getting after it. Like not everything's going to work. And if anybody thinks that everything works, or if anybody ever comes up and tells you that everything that they do turns to gold, they're full of it. And you should just kind of walk away, because you and I both know that's not the case, right? And you learn as much from the losses, and the hard stuff as you do from the wins.
Yeah. I sometimes think you learn more from losses because
probably
it's
for
either
sure
something that you want to get better at, or some experience you don't want to repeat.
That's
I think
right.
Having consistent success can almost blind you, get you too comfortable in your ability and the challenges around you, your reality.
That's right.
But having a humbling loss is a great reset.
That's exactly right. And you're like, ooh, I didn't know, but like you get better, you pick yourself up. That's a great thing to talk about as well, if I may. Like,
yeah, please.
There's one of the things I think we're going to talk about eventually is like layoffs and all that other kind of stuff. And I've been laid off before. I was laid off recently. Like earlier this year. I know, we all face really hard times, but what I'll say is like, in those darkest moments, the brightest things have happened on the other side of it. And usually I think even with a lot of my friends and a lot of colleagues and that kind of stuff, like, yes, there are hard times. Yes, it's crushing. Yes, it's terrible for so many different ways. But usually, in my experience, everybody comes out the other side in some sort of a better way.
Mhm.
Of course, there are exceptions to the rule, and I'm not saying like that's 100%, and not all things have silver linings and blah blah blah. But I think in general, like good things can come from tough stuff.
Agreed. Yeah, I had a similar experience. I was working again. I had a 9 to 5 in the tech industry. I was a software developer by trade,
Yeah.
and my brother and I were bootstrapping. We had an indie game discovery platform we built called Project MQ.
Cool.
And in 2021, the company I was working with hired me knowing that I was an entrepreneur. I had a side hustle, but they wanted me to bring that essence, that philosophy, that those insights, that perspective to the job. And I was excellent at that and helped build a lot of value. The team built a lot of value. But at a certain point, my entrepreneurial endeavors became kind of direct conflict with my time, my focus.
Yeah.
And so I was politely asked to just go do that full time. And I did. And I did that, and I wasn't laid off, but they said, I mean, it was the most honorable way I think you can ask somebody to leave a company. They said, like, you can either stay here. We know that you can do the work, but in order for you to maintain what we need, because our expectations are being raised, you need to work more, or you're going to miss. You're going to either not be able to maintain this, and we're going to have to fire you, or you're going to have to work more. You will maintain it, but it's going to burn you out because you're doing these other things. So we want what's best for you. Probably need a third route. Just like go ahead and voluntarily leave. And then so I got signed on to a crypto company like 90 days before the floor fell out of the crypto space. And then I've spent basically the last 3 years various degrees of unemployed or underemployed, like done a lot of great work. And I say all that to say, like, beyond me not having a kind of the steady 9 to 5 I was used to, my youngest son was born, and that's been a blessing to be home with him and my oldest two. I published this book, which I've shipped around the world on 6 continents.
Congratulations. Awesome.
As I told you, working on a project to reduce the toxicity in the gaming industry.
Yep.
There are bright spots in what was, I think, generally a troubling time for me, but it's exactly what you said, right? Like, as long as you continue to put forth the work, over time, it will get better.
That's right. I firmly believe that. I believe that to be true. And I think, look at all the amazing stuff that you've been doing. And I think it'll come full circle. I really do. And the reality is you get to meet incredible people. You get to hear incredible stories. You get to learn and engage with folks that maybe you haven't learned and engaged with before. You're awesome, and you're bringing a ton of stuff to the table. And so, you just you keep on coming at it. I would say fast forward 10 years, you're going to look back at this moment and be like, you're going to play it back and be like, yep, that's right. That's right. And I should say, like, well, I have a funny story about the first time I ever got fired. But before I tell you the funny story, I would be like, I had very dark moments in my career. And it's easy to say, oh, look, I got started in games in January of 2001, and now I'm the vice president of global partnerships at Xbox in 2024. And it was all magic and wonderment the whole way through. No way, man. No way. I had some deep, dark years, dark times, and rough. We're talking years where it's like same thing, young family, new neighborhood, multiple jobs, like 3-4 jobs at a time, times when it was like, none of this is working out. None of this is great. And I actually left the games business. I was running my own consulting firm at night, and I was the best consultant with the worst business model, where I just love marketing games. I just love games. I just love marketing games. And at the time, I had 16 years of the biggest brands in the world. I shipped games that probably sold more than $1 billion worth of revenue or something crazy like that.
Right.
I charged everybody $500. I was like, oh, you need a marketing plan for your thing? I'll charge you $500. How many hours? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It 10 hours, 20 hours, 100 hours. I just thought it was fun. And so that's what I did nights and weekends. But then during the day, I went and worked at a nonprofit. And I worked at a nonprofit called greatschools.org, and it helps parents find a great education for your kids. And I was working at this nonprofit for a year, and then it turns out one of the board members of this nonprofit learned about my games history and was a VP at Facebook, and goes, One day you get that little tap on your shoulder. Hey, might be interested in this opportunity to come work at Facebook? Never it occurred to me, never thought about it, never dreamed about it, never thought that I could be that guy. I was loving working nonprofit. My wife's a teacher. I think giving back is incredibly important. I think helping parents get a great education for their kids is incredibly important. I had a great team, super happy. I thought, okay, I'm going to be the consultant guy who does games nights and weekends. So I'm still a games industry professional. And then I'm a marketer of this parental website during the day. Fast forward a year and 11 months, I get tapped on the shoulder. I get tapped on the shoulder in like October, let's call it October 1st. By October 27th, I've got the job. And now I'm the global director of video games at, one of the largest internet startups on the planet. And came out of nowhere. I wouldn't have never predicted it. And then after that, that's where you get then 10 years of tech. So it was 6 years at Facebook, another 3 years at Alphabet, where I split time between Google Play and YouTube. And then now I'm at Microsoft.
Yeah.
11 years ago, 12 years ago, I would have told you my run is over. Yeah. I'm just trying to play games and help my 3 kids. I had 3 kids at the time, under 10. Mm-hmm. Still got 3 kids. There's 18, 16, 14. But it was dark. It was dark. It was different. It was different. I never expected to be where I am today. So same thing, for everybody out there who's thinking about this, that it's all an easy road or an easy journey, or there's this specific path. No way, man. No way. Yeah. So what do people like to say? You are where you're supposed to be?
Yeah. Right. That's exactly it. When you had mentioned earlier, there were layoffs over at YouTube. You talk about your mentality or your strategy of navigating that layoff period, because I think most people would say that you were an S-rank employee or professional in industry, right?
Yeah.
And people will probably be jumping at the opportunity to bring you on their team, but you were made redundant or there were layoffs. I think you've probably seen the discourse in the space, maybe surrounding what happened with Amir, the negative feedback he's gotten. People are saying that the people that they're wrongfully saying, people that Amir has helped, were people who were just supposed to be laid off. Because there's this whole, we won't get on the kind of the X detour, but there's a philosophy saying that people deserve to be laid off in the games industry.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
But obviously you were very talented. You were laid off. So I want to hear your perspective about that, and then how you navigated that for folks who may be laid off now, trying to find how they recover from it.
Sure. Well, so the first thing that I would say is throwing hate and shade and negativity at people who are going through some of the most trying times of our lives is disgusting, disrespectful, dishonest, atrocious, terrible, awful, and says way more about the people who are saying that stuff than the people who are living the life of just having been laid off. That is the beginning, the middle, and the end of that, right? That's just not cool. It's not good, and you're not bringing positivity and light into the world. You're just trying to cut people down, and so that's just atrocious. Let's be clear. So Amir is awesome. The fact that he got that award is the most incredible thing ever. The work that has been done inside of that community of people helping people and creating opportunities is absolutely fantastic and should be applauded for days and days and days and even more days after that. So that's kind of comment number one. And I posted about this, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm always about positivity, and I'm always about bringing people in and not pushing people out. And so, if you're not doing something to support somebody, then you're not being additive to the equation. So then you probably just shouldn't be commenting. Is my perspective. And people trying to do good, we should lift them up and help them do even more good. And, what is it, a rising tide lift all boats? Why would we not want positive and amazing and special things for everybody? That shouldn't be that hard. I want you to be successful. I want Amir to be successful. I want everybody. I even want the people putting out negative comments. I want them to be successful. I want them all to find happiness and positivity and light. And I want them all to have great jobs, and I want them all to have successful careers and happy families and get the help that they need and do incredible things and unlock all the things that they've been dreaming about. I want all of that for them because I believe it's absolutely possible. For me, and the whole layoff stuff and like what my advice would be is like, all I can do is share, a little bit about my experience.
Mhm.
And I will say, I think everybody's experience is a little bit different. I think that you don't really know what your emotions are going to be before it happens. It wasn't the first time that I've been laid off in the games industry. I think I've probably been laid off 2 other times throughout my career, and was completely unexpected, threw me for a loop. And my situation is, yeah, I'd been a high level executive for a while, have been able and fortunate enough to save money and do all of those things. And so you think you're doing it all right. But I'll tell you right now, the second that it happens, it's like, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to, my kids are about to go to college. Like the world falls out underneath it. Like, should I be going out to dinner tonight? I don't know. Am I ever going to get another job again? Like, it's terrifying. And it's shocking, and you go through it, and it's like, oh my goodness. So that was my experience, and other people might be more zen, they might be more chill, they might be more like have a different attitude and a different approach. For me, it hurt, and it was really, really hard. However, my approach to getting up on the other side was I leaned into health. I reached out to my friends and the gaming community of people around me. I put myself out there right away because, I thought about it. Oh, like, should I take time off? Should I, do I have this luxury? And then I can't with college staring around the corner, and all that other kind of stuff, and like responsibilities and car payments and all that. Like, nope, got to go to work. And so I put my energy there. And the thing that was incredible, and I hinted at this at the very beginning when I said, what you put out, the universe brings back to you. There was an outpouring of support from my friends. There were a lot of opportunities that were unlocked. I will tell you, the day after I got laid off, I sent my first email. Fast forward, you can guess where I sent that first email, because the job I accepted was VP of Global Partnerships at Xbox. And like that didn't happen because I randomly like threw out, a bunch of random emails or whatever. It's because I had been in the industry for a while, and I built a bunch of relationships over time, and you build a reputation and character. And like when you have, I believe I do my best job that I can to have a good character and extremely high integrity, and treat people honestly and with respect, and just try to do awesome stuff in games. Like when you do that, it comes back to you. And the most incredible thing is that friendships are stronger than time, and relationships are stronger than time. And I had people that I hadn't talked to in 12 years who sent me a note or a text when they knew I was in the lowest moment of the lows, and all of it like came together to help. So that's a lot of that's about my story. And like, I wanted to say that's what my experience was. Without going into it too much further, I'll just say, like, I'll just repeat it, right? What you put out there, you get back. And that was my truth. And I think that there are great opportunities. There are still great opportunities out there for people, and it's not going to happen immediately for everybody. I know friends who got laid off and they were out of work for quite some time, and I know people who got a job before they even got laid off. I know people who had a job that were planning to quit and then got laid off, and they were like throwing a party.
Right.
There's so many different things. There's different ways you can react. Again, I chose health. I went and really spent a lot of time at the gym, spent a lot of time optimizing my diet, while I was going through all of these interviews and things. And I was like, you know what? I can make a choice to get that third double bacon Western cheeseburger that I really, really want, or I can choose to be a little bit healthier. And trust me, double Western bacon cheeseburgers are pretty awesome from Carl's Jr., right? But like you just got to decide, like, how do you want to show up? And it wound up working for me, and that's all I can say, because everybody's experience is different. And I don't remember what I also said about, like, be yourself with more skill. I don't want folks out there trying to be, oh, I just do what Leo did. No, you do you.
Yeah,
You're awesome because of who you are, what you bring to the table, and all of those things. And getting laid off isn't anybody's fault. Nobody deserves that stuff. Everybody's trying to do the best job that they can. And sometimes maybe they're not bringing their best to the table. Today, maybe I wasn't the best person I could be today, but maybe I'll be the best person I could be tomorrow. Like, you never know where somebody is in that continuum. So, like, what is it? Like, just don't judge. Just don't judge. Bring people in, don't push people out. Sorry. I soapboxed a lot there, but I feel okay. I guess I feel some sort of way about it.
No, I understand, and I can relate. I was laid off, I guess 5 years ago. I was working for a tech company here in Florida, and it got acquired by another tech company in Miami, and I became a redundant asset. So I was notified. I think my oldest son was just born. So this must have been 5 years ago, because he's 6 now.
Oh my goodness!
Like 30 days after he was born, I was like notified at work that I was going to be laid off. And then right in that moment that I heard that we were having a meeting where they were going to officially announce it, I like time traveled in my mind back to when I was 16. My parents told me, like, you're 16. You're not going to be just sitting up in our house in the summer breathing up all our AC. You need to make finding a job your job. Right.
Yep.
And so that's what I did. I leveraged my resources, same thing you did, right? Leveraged my network, and I said, hey, being laid off, this is my skill set. And that's how I got hired on the tech company.
Yeah,
the
totally.
Steel industry. So yeah.
Totally. And like it kind of circles into the thing about opening doors versus closing them, and what you and I were talking about earlier about, putting yourself out there and taking risks and being open to new opportunities. You sometimes you just you can work hard to make the magic happen, and it's not going to work out every time, but you can pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going,
Yeah. Agreed.
And look, you got it. Like it happened. It happened. And there's more to come.
Yeah. Right. Stories still being written.
Exactly.
I know that you have a focus with some of your work on diversity and inclusion in the space.
I do.
I'd like to get your take on why there's this disconnect between the stats that say that teams with diverse leadership, like, consistently financially outperform those without diverse leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just going to refer to it as like this underbelly happening, where people are saying, like, oh, we don't want, whatever the demographic, a marginalized demographic, like, participating in games.
Yep.
From a professional perspective. It seems like those two things are counterintuitive. Like, if you want a successful game and a successful gaming company, you want as many perspectives as possible. So
that's right.
Have the most robust experience possible.
That's exactly right. So why is there the disconnect?
Yeah.
I think it's because when people hear those words, diversity, equity, inclusion, justice, there's some people who think that doesn't include them, and that makes them scared. And I think it's extraordinarily important. To your point, there's so many stats and data about diverse teams being more highly performing, about them driving better business results, etc. And folks think that means, oh, well, if you just give more jobs to just Black people or just women or just veterans or just disabled folks, that's what they're talking about. It's like, no. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, a diversity of opinions, a diversity of voices, and like all people should have an opportunity to get into the room and have an impact. And so I think I don't want to oversimplify it, but my belief is that we can do a better job of being really loud about saying that includes white males too. That includes white females too. That includes black males too. That includes black women too, and on and on and on. And like everybody, whatever your identity is, however you choose to represent yourself in the world, you too have the opportunity and a right to be present in every space. And you too have something to bring to the table. So like, to me, folks that get agitated about this think for some reason they're being left out of the equation. And so when you might be coming from a position of every door was always open, every room was always welcoming, and you hear this language, I can understand, frankly, how one can hear it and be like, wait a second, you're talking about diversity. That just means that, like, let's make more jobs for black people. It's like, no. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about creating opportunity for people and making it so that whomever you are, you still have a similar chance to get that seat at the table. And then recognizing things like, oh, when you're part of a marginalized community and you've never seen a CEO that looks like you before, like maybe it might be good to say, hey, guess what? There can be a black CEO too. There can be a female CEO too. There can be a transgender CEO too. There can be a gay CEO too. There can be a white CEO too. Oh, there are white CEOs. There are transgender CEOs. There are black CEOs. There are female CEOs. We need to recognize that and like be loud and proud about it. So like everybody should have an opportunity to do great things. Like that's what I believe. And so I think we can do a better job of really focusing on inclusion. And I think that'll help the overall diversity message. And that's not to take away from how loud and proud folks should be about who they are and what their identity is. That's just to say, like, let's maybe modify the message a little bit so folks don't feel like, oh, that doesn't include me, because that's not the point. The point is to include more people and bring more people in. Does that make sense? I don't know.
It does. That's where I've been trying to grow with that conversation over the years as well, because like I'm proud of my black heritage, right? And I'm proud to be black, and so when I experience that, I have to also give space for people who are white to be proud of their white heritage, proud of their whiteness or whatever your demographic, right?
That's right.
And so it's taken me a while to grow into that, if I'm being candid, because I was just ignorant to it. My uncle marched with Dr. King, and my grandmother's house was firebombed in Georgia in the 60s because my uncle marched with Dr. King. So I have a very I guess like generational traumatic connection to equity in the space. And even in that, all that said, I'm still, very welcoming to other cultures and white cultures, white people. This is going to sound like the cliche. I have, white friends, right?
Sure.
But yeah. I have to keep that my perspective. I have to be more empathetic of my perspective to other communities that I'm not a part of when I see those statements that are, for example, being cast over to a mirror, right? It's people who are operating out of a space of fear because for decades, all games had white male lead characters. So I can understand if you start to see major games with non-white male lead characters, you might feel attacked.
Right. And that's not the point. The point is we're introducing just new types of characters, and we're still trying to make great games. And like there should be great characters of all types everywhere. Right. Like that's like it's let's have great gameplay experiences, and that's what's driving what we're trying to do. It is a really tough subject, right? And it's hard to find language that works, and it's really easy to make mistakes. The other part of this is that I don't know everything. You don't know everything. I'm going to make mistakes. For all I know, I'm going to get lambasted all over the internet tomorrow for stupid things that I said, and that's part of it as well. Not everybody is perfect all of the time. And so I think there needs to be room for growth, room for reflection. There needs to be room for saying, wow, I didn't get that right. That wasn't exactly what I was trying to say, or I could have said that in a better way, or I didn't really think about it, maybe as deeply as I could have, like what you just said about reflecting on your own experience. And I have had the worst, for me, racist experiences in this industry. I'm not going to talk about them because it's really hard for me to talk about, but I will tell you, like, it's been really, really, really hard. And that is part of what creates me and defines me. I was born in Nairobi, Kenya. My mom is Russian and Ukrainian from New York City. I'm half white. I'm half Caucasian. I'm 33% Ashkenazi Jew. My dad was born and raised in Uganda, in Tororo, Uganda, Eastern Uganda. My family today still lives in mud huts with no running water, no electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my experience. That's my life to live and lead. And maybe some people could see that just by looking at me right away. I have a feeling most can't. And so I don't know what your struggle is. There was a website that when I was at great schools, we were part of a consortium that helped launch a website called understood.org. And understood.org helps recognize people with learning differences, and give them cool strategies and tips and tricks. And if anybody's never been to a website that is just extraordinarily helpful, I definitely would say check it out. But there was a saying that we used when I was introduced to this community, and they said, "Don't take away my struggle." You know, and that was a phrase that people used often to say, you know, you might have somebody who has a little bit more challenges, and sometimes they got to go through it and learn different things, and they'll come out the other side stronger. Like, not everything is easy. Not everything is like some golden road and magical special path for folks. But as long as we reflect, and maybe this will be the mantra of the day, like, be yourself with more skill, like, we're moving in a positive direction. So like I appreciate the conversation and the dialogue, and it's a tough one. There are no easy answers or easy solutions, but
right.
I have a feeling we'll be better together figuring it out.
Definitely. Well, you have my support, and please let me know how I continue to support you, because that's like you said, that's not an easy challenge. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. So if there's anything I can do to help support,
thank you. Likewise.
Let me know. Yeah.
Likewise. Like that. This is just something that it's what do they say? It takes a village and a community, and supporting each other and making sure that we're opening doors and we're providing safe spaces and open spaces and making it okay for people to ask tough questions and all those types of things. Like, but that's why I kind of love the games community so much, is because if I want to be Orc Hero, I can be an Orc Hero. If I want to be a Spirit-born Demon Slayer, I can be a Spirit-born Demon Slayer. If I want to be a racer, I can be a racer. If I want to be Indiana Jones, I can be Indiana Jones. I can be all of those things and more, and share those incredible stories with people who become the best of friends. You know, I keep my Dungeons and Dragons dice tray like literally like right next to me. Like we could roll dice. I play D&D all the time, but like gaming is awesome because it's open and welcoming and amazing communities that celebrate difference and love to tell great stories and go on great adventures together.
I've said often that video games are universal, or practically a universal language, right? It transcend age, race, religion, geography.
That's right.
Wherever you're from, it's a commonality, a common denominator. So I agree
Absolutely.
with you. This has been an awesome conversation. Before we go, I want to give you an opportunity to shamelessly plug whatever it is you're working on, right? Like, what are you most excited for in the next 3 to 6 months or into 2025? And then more importantly, how can people follow and support what's important to you next year?
You bet. So thank you for the opportunity, and also thank you for the conversation and just creating this space where people can have an open and honest and clear dialogue about whatever's on their mind. And I think that's really awesome. So thank you, first of all, so much for doing that. I think secondly, I'll keep it brief-ish, and I'll just say, I was fortunate enough to talk about, is part of like some A16Z thing where they talked to a bunch of different industry folks about their predictions for the future. And I said that I think that the games industry is returning to growth. I think that we are going to find gamers that are playing all sorts of different gaming devices out there, and they're going to be playing incredible games and building incredible communities together. So, I work on a lot of different things. Like I said, I'm playing a ton of Diablo right now. I'm playing a lot of Indiana Jones right now. I'm playing a lot of Balatro right now. I'm playing a lot of Star Wars right now as well. Lots of different games. Oh, Dragon Age, playing some Dragon Age. There's too many good games to play at this moment. It's good. Call of Duty, got a little bit of get that in there. So like, there's so many different amazing, super cool, awesome games to play. You talked about Marvel Rivals that just came out, playing that too. Of course, these are all partners, so I got to give them a shout out and be like, "What's up, everybody?" But like, these are the games that are playing, and this is the life that I live, and it's really, really exciting. But like, I think great opportunities are always around every corner. So if I was going to promote anything, I would just say, be positive, stay up, do what you're passionate about, and keep going. And don't let anybody like keep you down. You know what I mean? Like we have great things that are in front of us. We have great things that are behind us. And as long as we kind of keep moving through that space and do it in a positive way and bring people in, don't push people out, all for the better.
Excellent. Well, you all heard it directly from Leo, right? And again, he has the receipts, right? It hasn't been an easy journey, but it's been a purposeful, successful journey. His
Yes,
career.
sir. Thank you.
Here's to the next 24 years in the industry for you. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Let me know if you have any questions. Send them in the chat. I'll get them over to Leo, get answers back to you. We were supposed to end the season for the year 2 weeks ago, but I'm glad that we made extra time because we got a chance to talk with Leo today. Last week with Xbox, we got to talk with Sean last week from PlayStation, Sean Layton, formerly of PlayStation. So we're just excited about what 2025 has in store for everyone, yourselves included. So with that said, enjoy your holidays, spend some time resting, spend some time with family, spend some time with video games if you can.
Oh, yes.
And we will see you in 2025.
Awesome.
Peace.
Happy holidays. Peace. Happy holidays, everybody. Thanks so much, Marcus.